All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Hey, everyone. This is Mr. Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. I am here today to my very right, Sarge, and then I'm also here in the middle, well, to my right, but to Sarge's left. I'm here with Dragon Viper, guest on the show, also on Between the Ropes. How are both of you doing?
Doing good.
Doing great.
Now we do have a couple of topics to start off. As you can see, Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford have been traded. Matthew Stafford's going to the Rams. Jared Goff and a couple of draft picks have been are going to the Lions. Starting off with Sarge, how did you feel about this trade?
I thought this trade was awesome. The reason I say that is, Jared Goff played more games than Matthew Stafford did in their both first 5 seasons, and Matthew Stafford was only 700 yards of passing away from Jared Goff. I don't think Jared Goff is that good of a quarterback. And yes, I understand that the Rams have given away all their first round picks since 2016, and they won't have a first round pick till 2024. But with that being said, they have won 9 games or more since doing that. So I think Sean McVay knows what he's doing. Matthew Stafford has Cam Akers, Roberts, Cup as his receivers and back, and you have that solid defense from the Rams. With that being said, I could see Stafford having a Aaron Rodgers season next year and potentially MVP, and maybe a potential Super Bowl run.
Now, Dragon Viper, what are your thoughts on this trade?
My thoughts on this trade is that I feel that the Rams would be more relevant, and they may have a better season next year. I feel that even, with Jared Goff going over to the Lions, I feel that the Lions may be more relevant as well, as unlike what they have been. So I think it was a good trade on both their parts.
Now, with the addition of Matthew Stafford, do you think that is enough for the Rams? Do you think that's enough to take them on to the Super Bowl? Going with Sarge on this one.
Heck yes. I mean, I would put them as the number 1 team in the NFC right now, because people may say Seattle, but guess what? Seattle has more issues than what people think, and they say that Russ needs to cook, but he needs the ingredients to cook, and he doesn't have ingredients to cook, and who knows what their new offensive coordinator is going to do. So I do believe the Rams have taken control of the NFC West with this one.
Dragon Viper?
I totally agree. I see them going further. I see them, doing much better than they have been, that they did this past season. And I think Matthew Stafford is their golden ticket, their, I guess you could say, hero, to bring them up the ranks in the NFL next season. So
now I would say it would depend on what Tampa Bay does this season, because I think that it might be a nice battle neck to neck in the conference round between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. I think it might go between that. Now, ever since Sean McVay has been the coach for the Rams team, do you think that they haven't been able to draft a first round pick since McVay was their coach? Do you think that's going to eventually come and bite them back on the butt, Sarge?
No, I don't think so, because the Rams, I have depth at running back with Henderson behind Cam Akers. I think those guys are a good 1-2 punch. And like I said earlier, they've won 9 games or more since 2016, and that's since they have not even had a first-round pick since then. So, yes, I think they can continue this.
Now, do you think they're going to be able to continue this? Are you with Sarge on this one? Dragon Viper, do you think they're going to continue the how great they've been doing despite not getting a first round pick?
I totally agree with him. Yes, I believe they will be doing better despite the first round pick. Yes.
Brendan Herrera says Lions have 0 wideouts on their roster right now. Now, going into my next point, my question is, if the Lions' goal was to get a number 1 overall pick the next year, and they successfully do so, do you think they win this trade?
Do you think that they win in this trade?
They win if they get a number 1 overall pick in the draft, and that was their goal.
No, it's the Detroit Lions. No.
No, I don't believe so.
No, I believe with their first pick, I believe it's like 7 something. I believe it's like 7th. I think they might actually go with a wideout, to be honest with that, because
see that
Matthew Stafford, his only offensive weapon was Calvin Johnson, and he retired early, and he was in his prime also. And like I said, they never gave Matthew Stafford any talent around him whatsoever.
They no talent, no line, not a very good defense. The Lions have just been an historically terribly bad team. And I think, what they're trying to do this season is really just to blow up that roster. Any final comments before we one more question. Do you think they should draft a quarterback in this next draft? Do you think that's an ultimate concern? Do you see Jared Goff being used as a bridge quarterback at all? What do you see going along with the quarterback system? Dragon Viper, I'll go with you first.
I mean, I definitely think that they're gonna try and I guess it's like what I said. I think they're trying to get more relevant with the Lions with Jared Goff. I do see him. I do see him being a better quarterback for the Lions, and so yeah, my only opinion on that.
Ace says the Lions will draft a quarterback, and I think they'll draft Kyle Trask. I can definitely see that.
They could.
But I think, their biggest concern right now is quarterback protection. And I think they should draft. Their ultimate concern is to draft an O-line. But I think, yes, simply because that's simply where the quarterbacks are usually drafted. I think they'll go with a quarterback in the first round. Sarge, are you with the both of us on this, or do you have a different opinion?
I honestly think they're going to go with a wide receiver on this because I
Yeah,
think
you said that earlier.
I think Jared Goff's true colors are gonna show because he was protected by an insanely great defense from LA. With I think he's going to be exposed like nothing else. He's going to have the worst season of his career with the Lions. This trade happened due to the fact that the GM for the Lions actually came from the LA Rams.
Mm.
I don't know if people knew that, but yeah. And I think the Lions, they're just going to be awful again. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, congratulations, Lions opponent. Expect a win against the Lions. Speaking of blowing up, making bad trades, we got to talk about a trade that was awful in the MLB realm. Nolan Orlando traded to the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, I'm going to have to warn you. Let's see, where was it? I don't know what the general manager was thinking. You just made the worst mistake. Entire franchise. You just made the worst mistake out of everything that you've done, trading away the best, arguably the best third baseman in the league, arguably the best player on their team, and you gave the Cardinals $50,000 of cash consideration, along with Norman Orlando for basically a bag of snacks, and those snacks probably only good for one thing: watching the Super Bowl. What in the world? What in the world are you? I can't explain that. Sarge, can you? What were your thoughts coming from this?
It's rebuilding time for Colorado, and they did it because Ariano had an opt-out clause in his contract, and that's why they had to get rid of him. And expect Trevor Story and Charlie Blackmon to go also. They're in a rebuilding stage. Look at the Seattle Mariners. They've been rebuilding since 2002. And yes, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I think it's going to take a while for the Rockies to be back in the playoffs. They're going to go through one more manager and one more GM to even get back to the playoffs. On the St. Louis side, this was awesome because Colorado Rockies are also paying $50 million also to offset the salary for Ariano. And also, Paul Goldschmidt on the other side of the corner also with there. I mean, it was great for the Cardinals and great for the Rockies because, like I said, it's rebuilding time.
It technically is rebuilding on this time for the Cardinals. I mean, the Rockies. I can see that, but I don't like what they got out of that trade. You just pretty much gave away your best player, and you gave away $50,000 of cash consideration along with trading away your best player, and that's just. I don't like what they got out of that. It's basically pretty much nothing. Dragon Viper, what your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts on this is that I didn't really care for the trade. I mean, you can't go and trade one of your best players for, I mean, you're winning games. You got a great person who's great at bat and who's great with the glove, and you shouldn't be trading him, honestly. So I don't agree with the trade. I mean, now he's going to help St. Louis out. So I disagree with it, but good for St. Louis. At least now they're going to have somebody really good at there. So.
Yeah, $50 million. I said keep saying 50,000. I don't know why.
$50 million.
Twins have been rebuilding since 1991. I get this whole rebuilding stuff, but technically you can argue that the Seattle Mariners, since they haven't since they haven't made it. They've been rebuilding since the 90s as well. So
no, they haven't.
What?
The Mariners haven't been building since the 90s.
Well, they haven't like won a World Series since like they haven't made it. So anyway,
At least they did get swept in the World Series, so I got that for you.
Now how far does this take the Cardinals? We'll go with Sarge.
So one thing I want to say with this, the trade actually, or the deal just got official tonight. So that's the official. I mean, there was a rumor that you guys were supposed to get, the Rockies were supposed to get this high-end prospect from the Cardinals, and I believe I don't know who they were, to be honest with you, because it wasn't listed as of yet. But
Yeah,
like I said, the Rockies have been mediocre for a long time, but they've been to the playoffs more than, I think it was about 3 years ago. But like I said, this is a rebuilding time for the Rockies, and they are it's gonna be a little bit till they get back to where they were in 2007.
Dragon Viper, where do you think this takes the Cardinals?
I believe this takes it's hard to tell. I mean, with how well he's going to play in St. Louis. I mean, he did well in in Colorado, but I mean, it's, in my opinion, it's going to be hard to tell as he goes to St. Louis. So I guess we'll have to wait and see how it goes.
Now I think this might. It really depends on who they play as well. I mean, they could play Atlanta and get swept in the first round, or they could play a competitive team, and they could play a competitive team in the second to last round. But I think this probably gets them over the hump, past the wild card, maybe win 2 rounds easily. With Nolan and Orlando, I mean, it's one player and one player difference, but that's definitely probably a bigger difference. Now Colorado is definitely getting worse, probably getting worse by this. We don't know exactly. Again, we don't know a lot about exactly on what Colorado's getting out of this side, but we'll start with Dragon Viper first. Where do you think Colorado's going to get at the end of this?
Honestly, I would have to say that Colorado's definitely got to step it up. They don't have him anymore, so they need to figure out what they're going to do to win some more games. It's kind of hard to tell at this moment, but they really need to step it up and play better in order to win more games.
The last final thought before we move on to another topic. What do you think that is the Colorado Rockies and the St. Louis? We'll start with Colorado first. What do you think is Colorado's biggest concern that they need to address in the next MLB draft or free agency or whatever the case is? What's their biggest concern by Colorado? Well, obviously third baseman, but okay, Sarge, go ahead.
I say continue to build. Since you made this trade, Colorado made this trade. Continue to build up your farm system, and that's how you're going to get good. Mm-hmm. Look at, I hate to say this, I really do. Look at the Houston Astros. They've been awful for a long time, even though there's that cheating scandal. But they were down. They were in the dumps for a long time, and they built up their farm system. And just what Adam Barber said, pitching. Yes. I mean,
yes, definitely.
That's where it's going to come down to, is pitching, and that's where it always comes down to.
I mean, look at the Angels. their pitching staff is literally the difference of why they're a mediocre team, why they're not in a playoff team. To be honest with you, that pitching staff is terrible. That bullpen is terrible, but everything else around them is not is a stacked team, and so that being said, Dragon Viper, where do you think that Colorado should dress?
I totally agree. It's I agree with them. It's about the pitching. They need to work on that. They need to even work on some of them catching. I mean, they're not winning games, and the main reason is the pitching. So I mean, my answer is that I totally agree with them. The pitching needs to be worked on in order to help them out with winning.
The problem is no one wants to pitch for Colorado because there's so many home runs that hit there, and that's true. I mean, look at last year, Giants and Colorado Rockies, 23-5. Giants won. I mean, there's been so many instances over there that it's not that much of a competitive game. It's not a very high defense game at all. And now going to St. Louis, what do you think that St. Louis needs to address? We'll go with Sarge on this.
I honestly, to be honest, I think they need to focus on their catcher. I don't think Yadier Molina is not as good as he used to be. I think he's now should be a bridge catcher, and I think that's where they need to focus on because I think the Cardinals will give the Milwaukee Brewers a run for the money for the division. Because the Cardinals also got Adam Wainwright back. Also, I mean, I think they're poised to run that division because the Cubs had a fire sale last month, so that's where I see it. And for Colorado, really quick, they need to move their elevation lower so there won't be as many home runs.
Yeah. Elevation does not work in baseball as much as it works in football. I'm sorry, but it really does not. And the Brewers, no way, is what Ace is saying, and I think that I still think that the Cardinals are going to. I see Cardinals winning that division. I don't think there's going to be even a second. I mean, a close second. I mean, not a close second, but I don't think it's going to be a 1-2 game difference. What I'm trying to say. And now I think the Cardinals. I agree with you. I think they should dress a catcher in the draft. Dragon Viper, what's your thought on it?
Yeah, I totally agree. They need another catcher. And other than that, I could see them doing real well on their team. Everything else I believe is good with the Cardinals. They just need a really good catcher at this point. So, and then they can make it to the World Series. I believe in that. So,
Ace says don't overlook the Reds. I mean, the Reds possibly are losing Trevor Bauer. So that by itself, I don't think that I don't see them winning. With this Nolan Orlando trade, I'm sorry, even with the Reds, even if they did sign Trevor Bauer back, I still don't see them beating St. Louis. And, which going on to the next topic, MLB came out and they tried to go for another agreement. MLB Players Association turned it down about how the season was going to go out. This is exactly as like what happened last year. There's so many after so many, and there's so many delays. It started off with the first offer being in March last year, and there were so many offers being made, and all of those were delayed. They finally went up and agreed on one, and now the exact same thing is we see the exact same thing going on this year right before our eyes. And so, oh, sorry, were you gonna say something, Sarge?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Now we. So I think honestly, I think MLB commissioner should just step down because MLB they just can't even get to an agreement. And now Sarge, what are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is about 8-game difference. I wouldn't have minded, but I do want to update you that it just came down that proposal was rejected and that they're supposed to start on time.
Oh, okay.
So that was just came down not too long ago. So with that being said, like I think the MLB needs to continue what they're doing, especially during the spring training. When before they took that break during spring training, they had all those players mic'd up, and I thought that was so surreal for all the fans that were watching, having those players mic'd up during the game. And I was watching it and I was laughing. It was good entertainment. That's all I have got to say. But MLB was concerned about doubleheaders with that when games get postponed during weather and so forth, and that's why they were trying to make that proposal, and that's why they also declined that proposal because again, doubleheaders is their main issue.
Now, Dragon Viper, what are your personal thoughts? Thoughts on this?
My personal thoughts on this is you're looking at, what was it, 8 games? I mean, I don't see really a difference between whether if it's the full season or you're missing 8 games. I honestly think it wouldn't matter. I mean, there's really, pros and cons to it. The cons would be that there'd be 8 games less to play, 8 games less to watch. And then, the pros, I honestly don't think there's much of a difference in 8 games. Now, if we're talking 20, 30 games, delay, or, even to hold back that many games, then I could see more of a pros and cons list. But if we're talking like 8 games, if it was going to happen, I could see, I don't see much of a problem with that if they were to do it.
Yeah, that's true. That is a very, very small difference. Now I do gotta ask though. It is how do I put this? This is it is a very, very small difference, but we saw like what was going on. Now how do you think it's going to end up like last year, where if there is a COVID spike, do you think that they're going to just how is that going to exactly work out? Do you think it's going to be like last year? Do you think they're going to come up with something different now that we know a little bit more about COVID-19 and everything?
I feel that they may end up doing it just like they did with football. They played games like normal with the protocols, with the COVID protocols that they had to follow. And then when it affects the team so bad that they can't play, then I could see them, delaying the game or canceling the game altogether, like the NFL did. I could see MLB doing the same thing.
Sarge?
I can see that, but they're going to have to cut down on the season if that does happen, because you're going to be playing a lot of double headers if that does happen, and that will do more wear and tear on the body with that. I would be happy to get rid of all those cardboard fans out of the stadium still.
And now he brings up the double headers, which is a good point because MLB, NHL, any sport that any American sport is not like football. How the scheduling is formed out. There's games that are played either on everyday basis or on every other day basis, depending on how the series is formed out, whether it's 2-game, 3-game, 4-game, whatever the case is. It's not like NFL, where NFL you play once a week. So if you have that game rescheduled, that's going to have to change a lot of things. One, traveling distance. 2, if it's the MLB, double headers, like being said, or if they even attempt to go triple headers. I know they didn't last year, but they almost went with triple headers a few times. That's going to definitely affect a lot. And now, at what point, if it's all over the place, if there's a huge outbreak, do you eventually call it quits? I mean, for a few weeks. I know NBA has almost gone to that point a few times. Sarge?
I don't know about that, because baseball has a lot more games to be played, and I know the NBA came close to it, but I really don't see the MLB doing that, because what they'll probably end up doing is using their minor league teams as little hub stations, and where if players do test positive or close contact, I guess they can do a call up really fast that way. So yeah. I think it's gonna be tough, but I think MLB will get through it.
And now, also to one more thing. Well, actually, Dragon Viper, you can go first. I'll make my last question.
I mean, I agree. I mean, if they have players on the side, yeah, it's gonna be tough. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be tough. Like any sport. I mean, you look at any sport. Yeah, baseball, they have more games to play and everything else, but just like any other sport, it's gonna be tough to get through, and some of it's gonna have to be a kind of like a play by ear thing. So, whether they have double headers, triple headers, they play every day. Some of it they're going to have to play by ear, but it's going to be tough. But I don't think they will actually cancel the season or cancel, a team playing or anything like that. So.
And now my last final question. They did this in the playoffs. They had a neutral ground place in the playoffs last year, where they had a bubble. They basically had a bubble to play at one stadium throughout those 7-game series, or if they get eliminated before that series ends before the 7 games. Why didn't they just do that during the regular season? Sarge?
That would be a lot of logistics to get through if they did that during the regular season. I cannot see them doing it during the regular season. I was totally fine that they played at their own stadiums with that. And I am very hopeful for this year that fans will actually be in the stadiums this year. Probably won't be at full capacity, but I do hope there will be fans back at baseball games. I can honestly see that them doing the bubble again for the playoffs. But look at the NFL. They didn't do a bubble for the playoffs, and it worked out fine. So let's give it a shot.
Okay. Any final comments before we give this a close?
I I'm going to give you a little break here, Nate. The Colorado Rockies, what I'm going to say is they'll finish above the Arizona Diamondbacks.
No. Of course they will. Aaron, okay. Dragon Viper, your final thoughts?
I really don't have any on any of these topics, really. I don't have anything.
Now, Dragon Viper, what is your Super Bowl pick? Who do you think will win, Bucks or Chiefs?
Oh, I don't like Mahomes. I really, really hate Brady. I'm gonna pick the lesser of the two evil. I have to go with the Chiefs.
Sarge?
Oh, surprised you didn't say the Cowboys. So I think this game is going to be one of the most entertaining Super Bowls that there have been. We got the OG versus the new G. I think I hope it's going to be a score fest, to be honest with you. But they both have good defenses. But I think I really do hope, for some reason, deep down in my soul, I hope Tom Brady does win. But I am actually picking the Chiefs to win it.
I've been told never bet against Tom Brady. I'm going to take that into consideration and say never gamble against Tom Brady. But it's Tom Brady. Not a lot of us are a fan of him. I will always, in the playoffs, go against Tom Brady. Chiefs will win this one. This is coming from a Denver Broncos fan, by the way. At the point when COVID ends, the same as when the Cowboys will win the Super Bowl. Oh, gosh.
You would say that. You really would.
That was great. And that was Jennifer Hermans who said that.
Yep.
So this has been Dragon Viper, Sarge, and Nate the Great signing out. See you guys next week.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace up the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.